It's been a week of firsts here at Sounders training at Starfire. I'm Tony Ventrella, SoundersFC.com. The first today, well, the first time we've heard from Steve Zakuani since he broke his leg in late April. He's coming back little by little.
Probably the best. It is the best I've been. You know, every day you get some small victories and make forward steps. So it's the best I've been. I would like to say that the toughest times are behind me, and so my outlook's positive and looking forward. So just busy with rehab. You know, it's a hard workload. It's not what I'm used to, but sometimes twice a day and stuff, just for the sake of trying to get better. So I'm doing well.
Zakawani's broken leg happened in the 3rd minute of the April 22nd game at Colorado on a dirty tackle by Brian Mullen. We're not showing the video of the actual tackle here, and in fact, Steve hasn't really seen it either.
I tried to watch it when I was in Denver a couple days, no, not a couple days, like the day I was leaving Denver on my phone. But at the moment of the impact, I kind of looked away. And then when I was in my hospital in Seattle, I saw it accidentally on the screen. I was watching, I think, New York against LA, and then they kind of showed my tackle, Ferreira, and maybe even Morales at that time. So it kind of came on the screen by accident. But apart from that, no, I haven't seen it. I mean, I have the real footage up here, so I don't need YouTube.
And he did not need a trainer or doctor to tell him he had a broken leg either. Steve knew immediately.
When I got hit, I remember being on my back and my leg was in the air, and I saw right away that it was bent out of shape. And so I was calm from the beginning. I think if I didn't see that and then one of the trainers came on and said, like, your leg's broken, I would have probably panicked. But I was the first one to know. So some of the players started rushing over, and I told them, like, look, my leg's broken. My leg's broken. Brad came, and John Kennedy came, and Pat came. And as soon as the trainers came on, I'm like, he's like, what's wrong? I said, my leg's broken. So I knew. And then I wasn't really in pain at the time, and then it slowly started to throb. And going off the field, even then in Colorado, the Sounders fans were singing my name. So I applauded them, got into the back of the ambulance, and yeah, right there you start the mental battle.
A mental battle that began while he was still lying on the field and got worse later that night.
I immediately had good people around me. My parents went down. I had some good friends with me in Denver. And then when I came back to Seattle, I had good friends with me at the hospital constantly. And then I kind of was surrounded by that all the time. And then the toughest times when I was alone, because then you really do think about it.
All through the moments and hours right after the tackle and the injury, Steve never held bitter feelings toward Mullen.
There was never any bitterness. All my energy was focused on getting better. The second it happened on the field, I mean, going off the field already, I was already planning my recovery. I was already trying to estimate what it's going to take, and I was thinking to myself, you know, people who I know who have broken their leg and how it was for them and what they did. And so that was all my focus. And my focus was on, you know, making sure my family's okay and I was okay. And it wasn't on having any kind of hatred or bitterness towards Brian Mullen. That's too much of a burden to carry.
Immediately following the injury, Steve began to hear from other athletes, including David Beckham.
One of the best emails I got was from actually David Beckham. He sent me an email and he just said he's dealt with injuries in his career, and he said there's going to be days where you're going to feel like you're not going to ever get back, and then there'll be days where you'll feel like, okay, I will get back. And then actually Dion Butler from the Seahawks sent me an email. I spoke to him. He had the same kind of injury, and he said, look, you're going to have to deal with so many doubts and stuff, and they were right.
Steve is still emotional about a fan tribute to him in the 11th minute of the first home match after the injury on April 30th.
I was watching that game but those were really the early days, and so I was so drowsy that I was in and out of sleep, and then I missed that one. My mom was at the game with 3 of my good friends, and they came back to the hospital that night and they were like speechless with what they saw. And so I went on YouTube, and then it was like, yeah, that was really emotional. I couldn't believe it. You can't speak to something like that, you know. It's just to have 36,000 fans singing and probably more at home and everyone holding up your number. It stirs up some emotions you didn't know you have. So it was really amazing. I thank the fans everywhere.
The everyday challenge of rehab has ups and downs, but Steve does feel like he's come a long way already.
I couldn't feel my foot for the first 3 weeks. There was no sensation. So doctors would come and they'd be running their hands on my foot and I wouldn't even know they were doing it. So the second I could feel them putting their finger on my big toe, that's a great victory. I can celebrate that. And now it's 75% back, so that's a good victory. Everything, man, just the main problem is in my foot, really. The fracture site hasn't really been any issues. We had some nerve problems in the foot, and so that's been the main issue, that's why I've had the most pain. And loss of feeling and that kind of stuff, loss of sensation. So as that comes back in my toes and stuff, those are the main victories I'm dealing with, because I depend on my foot a lot for my job. So I'm trying to get it back.
And part of getting back is not having an actual timeline for a return to games, at least for now.
I'd already told the doctors the first night, don't tell me it's going to be 6 months or 8 months. I don't want to hear that, because if they told me 6 months and then after 7 months I wasn't back, I'd become depressed. So I just wanted to work on my own timeline, and then I'd be back when I was back. So I've set no kind of timeline. The way it's going is like, honestly, it's like 1 week I can't bend my leg, and then the next week I'm walking, and then I'm walking with 2 crutches and I can barely do it, and then by next week I'm on no crutches. So it's like, it happens pretty quickly sometimes. So I'm not ruling anything out.
And neither are Zakawani's thousands of fans.
I've received hundreds and hundreds of letters from all over the world, from places I didn't even know people knew me. So it's amazing. That definitely encourages you to and keeps you going. So that was an amazing tribute, and I'm always going to be grateful to the Sounders fans.
Heartfelt comments from Steve Zakuani earlier in the week. Of course, we heard from O'Brien White, both of them testimony to the wonderful support from Sounders fans all around the world. I'm Tony Ventrella, SoundersFC.com.